What it do, people? Is the MMA guy. Today I just wanted to do a quick video on the absolute evolution in the welterweight division in the past, 5-ish years. And we're just gonna jump into it. When you look at the Usman era, the type of fighters that were, at the top of the division were Colby Covington, besides Usman, obviously, Colby Covington's, Gilbert Burns, Leon Edwards, Vicente Luque, Bilal Muhammad, Masvidal. Okay. When you look at the current era of like Makhachev as a champion, you have JDM, who's the number one contender, who beat the breaks of Bilal. You have Shafkat. You have Ian Gary, Michael Morales. You have Bilal, who's on a 2-fight losing streak. So he's like the only like old guard in there. And you have Carlos Prates. Okay? Now, I just want to use Bilal, okay? Because I do rate Bilal. But Bilal, when you look at his resume, beat guys like... he beat like very good fighters in a little bit outside of the top 5 right now, but he beat a new era fighter in Sean Brady. He did beat Sean Brady, ended him his first defeat when he was undefeated. He also beat Leon Edwards. He beat Leon Edwards. He has a good win. He has the best Vicente Luque win out there. Him and Geoff Neal. But he has the best win because he beat him first. So, Bilal has the most prime Vicente Luque win that we have pretty much out there. Yeah. Like when Luque was at the top of the division, he's ended 5 takedown on Luque. He has a good win against Wonderboy. Wonderboy, fight after or around that era. Like it's definitely after. I know for a fact it's after. Absolutely whooped Kevin Holland on the feet. The way that he does everyone. And Kevin Holland is always I know Kevin Holland isn't like, he was ranked at the time. First off, he was a ranked guy. He was better than he is currently right now. Slightly. And, he was like always a tricky customer on the feet. Long shots. And Wonderboy dismantled him on the feet. Easy and stuff. So Wonderboy was still Wonderboying. But Bilal, 7 takedowns on him. Beat him. Beat Luque. Beat Leon. Great win. It was beating every single one of these guys that were like a threat to the in the welterweight division. But then when he got to the new era, while he was a champion of the division, the highest level he's ever been at, got whooped by JDM. Couldn't land takedowns. He was trying to grapple with JDM. Once he was like, oh shit, didn't work. JDM when he got taken down, was able to get back up and batter him. He won rounds where he got up from takedowns and everything. Then he couldn't land a single takedown on Ian Gary. Got outstruck every round. Not saying like Ian Gary, masterclass, whatever or anything, but he did slightly outstrike him in every round in a good old Gary fashion. So Bilal wasn't losing since his loss to like Geoff Neal closer to the beginning of his career. He hasn't lost to anyone else. And Geoff Neal's a terrible stylistic matchup for him, but that's, something else. It's like he hasn't lost to anyone besides new era fighters. Essentially, when you look at Bilal and his skill set. Now, I just want you guys to do like a be conscious about something here, but when you look at the new era fighters on the resume, on the list, so on the Makhachev era, so JDM, Shafkat, Gary, Morales, and Prates. Look at those guys, okay? And I'm excluding Bilal because, sorry guys, on a downward trajectory. The guy is 37 years old. He might start to be He couldn't be washed. I mean, I don't think that those two losses necessarily grant him to be washed, but I'd have to rewatch his fight with, let's say, Geoff Neal. I have to rewatch these fights to see, because I think I might have severely overestimated in my head how good Bilal's wrestling is. I feel like against Gary was getting the positions to go for takedowns. He just didn't really have the skill to, which was annoying. I was so annoyed by that. I was like, damn, bro, you got the double underhooks. What are you doing? But at the same time, easier said than done. Gary, great technical fighter, no doubt about it. Um, I just want to match up these fighters in our head, okay? So we have this era. So Covington, Burns, Edwards, Luque, Belal, Masvidal. So that's the top 6 rankings from 2022. That's Colby number 1, Burns number 2, ainsi de suite. And then we have, those are the current rankings right now, okay? And we're excluding Belal, per se, because I know some people are going to be like, man, you think that a Prime Masvidal would lose to Belal? Dude, I think a Prime Masvidal will get flipped up by Leon Edwards, Belal, all of those guys. But that's besides the point. When you look at these guys, okay? When you look at like the best, most prime Masvidal ever, tip top shape, you know, fighting Nate Diaz, do we think that guy beats like who do we think that guy beats in the Morales, Pratis, Shafkat, Gary, or JDM? I completely forgot to include JDM. Like, who do we think that guy beats in there? Because, in my honest opinion, not a single one of them. Nor does a prime Colby. First off, Colby's resume has always been based on like beating like an out of prime Robbie Lawler, beating an, you know, Rafael dos Anjos in a close fight, and Rafael dos Anjos was also a 55er, and so it's always been like RDA. Like, can you imagine putting RDA in there with Michael Morales right now? Can you imagine the size difference? Knowing that, you know, RDA doesn't have dominant grappling. He got beaten by a out of prime Luque while he was like, I think 34 or something. Wasn't like completely washed or anything. Um, but he lost to Luque in a fight where he got out grappled. I'm pretty sure he got taken down 11 times by Gamrot recently. But can you imagine? Okay, let's say like a more primed version of RD and putting him in there with Michael Morales, who has a 79-inch reach, is going to rehydrate in the 200 pounds, is flipping jacked at that size. He's like 6. They say he's 6 foot, but he's pretty much the same height as Magny, like slightly smaller than Magny, and Magny's like listed as 6'3", always looked it and everything. So I don't think he's actually just 6 foot. He's probably like 6'1", 6'2", 279-inch reach, jacked, absolute like rocks in his hands. Huge KO power on like a 3-fight first round KO streak. How do we think that fight goes? Okay? And it's not a way to disrespect these fighters in any way, shape, or form. The thing that I want to show is that the sport has evolved so much. And people can be like, yeah, man, but dude, will they be able to do a performance like Rafael dos Anjos versus Donald Cerrone, man? That fight was epic to watch. And it's like, that's fine. You're allowed to argue about, like, is it better in terms of, like, the entertainment and whatever. Although a lot of these prospects are very entertaining. Like, Prates very entertaining. Morales very entertaining. JDM very entertaining. Except when he gets owed down for 5 by Makachev. You know, like when you look at guys like Gilbert Burns, for example. Gilbert Burns had a phenomenal performance against Shafkat. Like Amzat against Amzat, I mean. Yeah. Amzat engaged in a brawl with Gilbert Burns and like didn't wrestle. He and Gilbert Burns phenomenal grappling, but offensively, like the biggest submission he's ever gotten in his life is against Neil Magny. I'm pretty sure. Like Gilbert Burns has this is an idea of like being like a phenomenal grappler, and we know he has phenomenal grappling because we see him roll. But in his actual UFC fights, we've never seen him be like threatening to an absolute top level fighter. Like he went decision with a more watched version of Woodley, who had just gotten whooped and TKO'd by Colby Covington. Um, you know, we're not talking about and like imagine Gilbert Burns with the way that he fights and the way that he got KO'd by Usman. Because Usman with the wrestling and everything, I think Usman's monster. I think Usman absolute monster. On the feet like that though, getting KO'd by the jab of Usman at distance. Can you imagine like stylistically how that matches up with a guy like Carlos Prates, you know? Or the length, or a guy like Gary who's gonna be throwing that head kick, make him think about it, make him like make it hard to open up the same way that he neutralized Carlos Prates in his fight, like being able to do that with a like stocky fighter in Gilbert Burns. Like all of those guys, they match up terribly against these guys. I think he has a chance against Shavkat because Shavkat's gonna absolutely engage in a brawl with him. Shavkat on the feet isn't that technically sound. He has he has a big ass head, so he's able to take shots and everything. So I don't know if Gilbert Burns really gonna KO him like that. Because Arm's at 8 shots from him as well, at 70 with the huge weight cut. Like it's not clear that like it's a fight where I'd probably go with the fact that Shavkat is going to be bigger. He has good knees in the clinch. He's going to have a bit of a size advantage. Might be able to bully him in the clinch a little bit. He has 19 finish in his first 19 fights, or 18 finish in his first 18 fights, I think, in 19-0. Beat Gary. I would probably go Shavkat over Gilbert Burns. And I'm not talking about current. I'm always talking about prime right now. Prime for prime. Because all of these guys are in their absolute prime right now at the top of the division. Like what Colby Covington, okay, who's like doesn't have phenomenal wrestling, but has solid wrestling. Solid wrestling, but like nothing phenomenal at the like one's like no one that he's been able to out grapple. You go like, oh wow, oh man, he's just beaten a 40-year-old Luke Rockhold in a wrestling match. Luke Rockhold's not a wrestler; he's a BJJ guy, and he's 40 years old, and he just got flatlined. And like 3 to 4 years ago, he fought against Paulo Costa in the octagon, and he looked like dog water. Okay, like least impressive win in history of wrestling. Colby Covington isn't all that, guys. He's never really been. I know he's a great fighter. I know he's like very good, but he doesn't have the same physicality or anything. Like, how does he do against Morales? The way that he was fighting against Brady, making the takedown super hard, like making his hips super backward. But since he has a 79-inch reach and he's gonna be so much bigger, he's gonna have like 20 pounds on Colby, a huge reach advantage. Absolute devastating power advantage over him. What are we talking about here? Colby Covington, okay, was like 34 or 35 when he fought against Joaquin Buckley. Hadn't been in the ring for a while. It's not like you can, since his injury with Leon Edwards in the fight or whatever. Nothing about Colby tells us that he's better than the version that Buckley whooped, okay? No win on his resume. You go, oh yeah, he beat that guy so before, and now he's not beating Joaquin Buckley, so it's probably because he's washed. He's not washed, guys. He was never that good, okay? And Buckley is very, very good. And now people think Buckley sucks because Usman was able to maul him. Oh man, and Usman didn't like try. They tried like a takedown against Covington once and Covington blocked it. Yeah, his anti-wrestling can be good. He can have a good sprawl. That doesn't prove anything at all. It was one takedown. They didn't try to grapple much in their fight. You can't you can't assume relativity in wrestling based on their fights to be like, since Usman was able to maul him, then more than likely it was because Covington was out of prime. That's like MMA UFC narrative based on absolutely nothing besides Cope, to act like Kobe was better than he is. I'm not saying Kobe wasn't good. Kobe was phenomenal. And for that era, like a prime Kobe Covington versus Burns, I look at that fight and I think Kobe Covington can get it. I think he can also get KO'd in that fight, and I think it's phenomenal, and the scramble would be super nice. I think it's a very technical fight for sure. I just don't think I think a lot of the difference is physicalities. Like when you look at a guy like JDM, I get it. JDM got messed up by Makachev. Makachev has some of the best control and grappling. Like that's a guy that was holding down Volk. Okay, who's like never been held down by anyone else ever. Gone out of you're talking about Makachev who completely molded like Dustin in that first round, and then after that, and he had a staph infection in that fight. He did say that he did, and everything went through with the fight, but he did admit that he has a staph infection, and it was also visible. So, like, are we gonna assume that he's lying just because we ate Makachev? I don't eat Makachev, but maybe some of you will. JDM was easily able to get back up from below. Um, Kind of similar to how, like, I don't think that Kobe Covington has much better control than Belal. Nothing indicates that he would. He's a lot closer to Belal than to Makachev in his grappling, you know? So you can't just assume, oh man, Kobe has good grappling and JDM had nothing for Makachev, but he had everything for Belal. So we have to assume that Kobe would be able to hold down JDM as well. Yeah, I'm sure that's how it works. And can you imagine in the striking? Dude, JDM walks forward. JDM eats shots and he walks forward to land his own. How would that do against Kobe, who has zero pop? He has zero like reach advantage or anything to like nullify that, and like kind of similar to how Allin did, and JDM had like a bad performance against Allin. Dude, JDM would beat the brakes of Colby Covington. Probably worse than Buckley beat him. Okay? Or similar to the way that Buckley beat him to a pulp. We're talking about prime, because I don't think Colby Covington like is I don't see why people think he's diminished. Oh yeah, good fights with Usman where he struck. Usman, dude, Usman couldn't strike with Buckley. You can say that it's because he's old and his reflexes aren't the same, and I'm ready to even give you that. But nothing in that fight between Usman and Buckley indicates any kind of relativity to Buckley on the feet. Dude, when that fifth round he was stuck on the feet, it was like, come on man, get it, come on man, get it, because I wanted Usman to win, but you like Usman would have gotten whooped if like Buckley had great takedown defense. Because Usman has phenomenal grappling. Most people will never be able to reach that level of takedown defense to defend like the takedowns of Usman like that. So the more I think about these matchups, it's like, do I think Leon Edwards beat JDM? Leon Edwards, the guy that was getting dumped on his head by Bilal, and got outstruck by Sean Brady while he was getting in for the takedowns, and had like nothing for the boxing. Do I think that this guy is gonna point strike with JDM? I mean, he technically could-ish, but I wouldn't favor him. I think Shafkat would walk forward until he submits him. I think Gary's just a better version of Leon. I think Morales is gonna have a big size advantage, and dude, I think that we've seen what happens when he gets hit with a big shot. 79-inch reach. It's going to be like one of the first time where Leon's at a reach disadvantage besides his fight with Carlos Prates, and now it's going to be even bigger. The guy's going to go forward. Leon doesn't have pop. He's not able to make you respect his pop. Like, he doesn't hit you with a big shot and you go, oh shit, if I eat another one of those, I'm going down. He's not Carlos Prates, okay? Like, Morales knows that. Morales, in every fight that you've seen, watch the way that he bullied Gilbert Burns and Sean Brady back to back, okay? Like, nothing, like you look at that and Morales and you go, okay, I think he would probably do similar to Leon. I think Leon can try to grapple, and it's more crafty because he's a striker, so you're less expecting the takedown. He's not going to fight with the same stance that he did, and so there's something. Dude, I don't think over 3 rounds that he beats Michael Morales. I don't think so. I don't think you do either. Like, you know, and then like Masvidal, all those guys. You know what I mean? I think you look at all of these fighters and you go, oh, it's like a whole new step above. It's like a whole new level that has reached the welterweight division. This is a level we've never seen. Here's the thing, though. I think Usman can compete with these guys. I think Usman today would be a top 5 welterweight if you have prime Usman and you put him in today's landscape, because he has phenomenal wrestling and he wouldn't be striking with those guys. He wouldn't be like he did in his reign, like, oh yeah, man, I'm not gonna wrestle today. I'm gonna strike with you, and he would have more success like grappling because he's in a less grappler heavy division. Okay, like and he always did strike pretty much in those fights, but he would have to go like the way that he fought Buckley, but he'd probably even better because he's younger, probably slightly more explosive and everything. I can see him. Usman has very, very good control. Once he gets takedown, he has better control than these guys. I think JDM's a tricky fight because JDM's ability to get back up, and I think people are gonna forget that now. JDM was easily able to get back up from Bilal, but and from Gilbert Burns as well, even with a broken end. But since Makhachev held him down, Makhachev, the top 3 greatest grappler in the history of the sport, without a shadow of a doubt, way better than anyone else in that division. Yeah, man, since he wasn't able to get back up from him for 5 rounds and he just laid on him, then he's probably not as good as we thought in anti-grappling. Dude, you're foolish if you think that. Okay? And I think, stylistically difficult matchup in JDM. I think Shafkat's a very difficult match as well for him because he's going to be hard to take down, dude. Gary flipping had his neck. But whatever. Gary's more like jiu-jitsu than those guys, either way. So it's not like Usman's going to submit Shafkat. But I can see him landing the takedowns. I can see him getting harder and harder, and like Shafkat, like as the round progresses, it's a hard fight. I can see him beat guys like. Do I see him beating Morales? I think it's possible, and I think Prates as well. And I think even a Makhachev fight, like a prime Usman versus Makhachev, would be a tricky fight for him, for sure. I still think that Islam is probably slightly better than prime Usman. I would say that he's better than prime Usman because I think his striking is higher level. I think he has more threats. I think his kicks are better. His low kicks are very good. Usman is more so like a jab maxer, and he has a very good jab. So that's something that you could see because Dustin was popping Makhachev with the jab. So you could see like a guy with a big reach, and he has a big reach advantage. He has 76-inch reach. Islam has like 55er arms. He has 70-inch reach. Big difference here. The thing is that I think Makhachev would be able to get takedowns on Usman. And I don't think that Usman's going to be able to get back up, especially nowadays. I think that it would be a grappler's fight rather than just like them. Like, Makhachev doesn't really do the oh man, you're a grappler as well, so I'm not gonna grapple. I'm just gonna strike with you. Nah, man, you're going down as well, buddy. It's kind of what's gonna happen, I think, if they fight. But I think Usman couldn't compete with these dudes for sure. It's just everyone else that I look at, I'm like, damn. And this is a genuine way of looking at it for me, because I'm not giving you what I think is right. I think so many people are gonna be in the comments, man. Bro, people forget Masvidal was great, dude. Great boxing, and I think he does. He just doesn't have the physicality of these guys. Okay, he has great boxing as well. He's gonna have to fight a 6-inch reach disadvantage and a 20-pound disadvantage over Morales in that octagon. Morales is the size of a middleweight. Dude, he's easily the size of a middleweight. Morales. So, like, it's just that the sport has been optimized in terms of everything around it. Not just the fighting, but the guys are bigger. They have, like, the guys that emerge at the top or have, like, physical acumen nowadays that it's hard to replicate if you're, like, 5'10" welterweight with, besides JDM. But JDM has phenomenal boxing. He has phenomenal get-up ability. He has very, very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in general, but especially, like, defensively. Well, mainly defensively. We've never seen him really offensively use it. I think he does have a submission in the UFC, though. Yeah, against Randy Brown. So we have seen him, actually, and he goes there, but that was off a knockdown. So he doesn't really go for takedowns. But we know he has phenomenal Jiu-Jitsu, tricky, and he has phenomenal boxing. So he's going to be very hard to grapple against. And he has better boxing than all these guys. So, like, who are we picking to win? The guy with phenomenal jiu-jitsu and who's better on the feet? Or the guys that have great grappling but never use it in their actual high-level fight? Let me think about it. I'm picking JDM in all those flipping fights. Okay? That's that. Bilal's better than Covington has ever been. Bilal's better than Leon has ever been. Bilal's better than Masvidal has ever been. Bilal's better than Luque has ever been. He has the best win over a prime Luque. I don't want to hear it. Okay? That's the truth of it all. It's just Usman is even better than Bilal. And Bilal, right now, we're kind of seeing that, oh shit, he's not able to compete. He's a 5'10" wrestler with, like, good volume striking and all of that, like those guys. He's unable to match these new guys who are like 6'3" and have good takedown defense, because the sport has evolved so much relying on takedown defense if you're going to strike. And I just think that it's an evolution of the sport. Let me know what you guys think, though. I hope you liked the video. Make sure you comment and subscribe to the channel, man.